morning and welcome to SimWorld today. Still on the road here for September 3rd, but we are coming back to you. And we are now one day away from the start of the SWFL season. So what better time than right now to say and dive into some top three storylines? Um, I think that this is going to be a very entertaining season, right? The Eagles repeating can Kansas City get back there in what is likely the last year with Travis Kelce? But none of that, neither of those are really my storylines of the upcoming season, or at least the ones that I'm most interested in. Let's start with Chicago and what's going to happen with Caleb Williams because we've seen, and I talked about this yesterday a little bit. We've got these last couple seasons, we've had these generational quarterbacks have entered the league, right? The best quarterback since Andrew Luck. That's the line in the sand that we have, and Andrew Luck was the best since Peyton Manning before him. But the best quarterback since Andrew Luck has come two of the last, 4 or 5 years, right? Trevor Lawrence before him, and then Caleb Williams right now. And those have been the guys that we've looked at and said, this is an extremely polished player, a lot of upside, very talented. This guy could be dangerous. He could be great. You get him, the Jaguars, the Bears, you get him, and your franchise is safe. And what has happened? Well, for the first handful of years of Trevor Lawrence's career, it's been very up and down. Yes, he's won a playoff game. Yes, he's rallied back from 20 points down, but he's also had a terrible rookie year, and then last season was a massive disappointment for the organization, and they've completely retooled. Caleb Williams is on that trajectory, a really, really disappointing rookie year. He had a nice finish to the season. He didn't throw a lot of interceptions, which sometimes, you can make the case that not throwing picks is not always a good thing because it means a guy isn't taking calculated risks. That's not to say that a Jameis Winston 30-30 season is a good thing. There's times where those risks are not good, but at the same time, maybe there's a lot of times where a guy just isn't checking. He's checking down too much, and he's risk averse to a point of detriment to his team. Now, I'm not saying that was quite where Caleb Williams was, but he didn't have a rookie season that I think blew people away. And now you've got a new head coach, the head coach that everybody wanted, the head coach that is going to change everything about. They've changed everything about Detroit and could change everything about Chicago. And I think this is a huge season for Caleb Williams. What are we going to get from him? Are we going to see the type of leaps that we hope for with now a new head coach, right? I mean, I've talked to Rick Blaze about, well, Trevor Lawrence now has weapons. He's got an offensive coordinator. He's got an offensive-minded head coach that might actually know what they're doing. I mean, look, you could talk about, well, he had Doug Peterson, and that didn't go so well, and that's a Super Bowl winning head coach. There's a lot of question marks about how that organization structured their coaching staff that might not have been really that great for Trevor Lawrence. But Caleb Williams now has a legitimate head coach that has a lot of offensive pedigree, especially when you look at what he was dealing with before. And when he's a guy that said, I had nobody that would tell me what to do, I had nobody walking through film with me, he's definitely got a guy like that right now in his new head coach. That, to me, is worth watching. Are we going to see a leap from Caleb Williams in his sophomore year? This is the time in which he should make a leap. Now, I don't think that you raise the red flag or the white flag on Caleb Williams if this season doesn't go well. But I do think that there's going to be a lot of eyes on him now that there's legitimate offensive capabilities surrounding him, an offensive mind, and some good offensive weapons, which he had last year and they didn't really take full advantage of. Question mark number 2, and that's everything that's going on with the Chargers. There's not like some line in the sand, but I think a lot of conversation is about what are we going to get out of Justin Herbert. And unfortunately, a lot of these topics might be quarterback related. But unfortunately, that's if you look at what decides championships, it's kind of down to quarterbacks, right? I mean, Micah Parsons going to Green Bay is a notable move, but I don't think Green Bay suddenly they get bolstered because they have Micah Parsons, but you win and lose based off your quarterback. So Justin Herbert, can he be a guy that actually wins in the AFC? Can they press Kansas City for an AFC West championship in what's a pretty good division? I mean, the Raiders are still the Raiders, kind of hanging back in no man's land, but Denver had a really good season last year. Justin Herbert's had a pretty nice career, but the question about Justin Herbert is, can he win, right? He's in the same category that we talk about Trevor Lawrence, although he's probably 2 or 3 steps above. And I think this is really where, what are we going to have from Justin Herbert? Is Justin Herbert going to be a floor raiser, a ceiling raiser for the Chargers, or is he going to be more of a Kirk Cousins-like guy? A guy that's really, really talented, who makes his teams better, but when push comes to shove, doesn't really push the needle further. It doesn't extend seasons longer than you would expect it to. Kirk Cousins has a great career. He's made Minnesota really good. He made Washington in his time there a competent team when they really weren't. But what he wasn't was a guy that you said postseason's on the line. He's on the field, and we're going to win with Kirk Cousins. That didn't happen. Justin Herbert has made the Chargers a really, really good football team. A 9-10 win football team, maybe even 11. 11 pushing 12. Awesome, awesome football team with a good head coach now in Harbaugh that has similarly changed his trajectory. Where they were before Harbaugh arrived to where they are now are much different ball clubs. Competent head coaches matter in football in ways that I don't know that it matters so much in basketball because of how dominant it is with a single guy on the floor. So if you're Justin Herbert, I think now's kind of the time. We need to see a good push in the West, in a good conference, in a good division, and winning in the postseason. And if he can make those steps, I think that we start talking about Justin Herbert in that Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow range. He's 7-9 right now. And if he can put together a really good season, I think you push yourself up into that top 5 conversation because what he's done on the field has been that good. He during the regular season, during the postseason, it hasn't quite reached that peak. Now is where we start to look at it. And then my third storyline is Baltimore as a whole. Baltimore has been on the cusp. They have been so close to everything. You've got obviously Lamar Jackson's an MVP. Derrick Henry is the most impactful running back in football today. He's the best, maybe not the best, but he's the most impactful. Until he falls off a cliff, even though he's in his 30s, until he stops producing like that guy, I think he still gets that mantle. But yet, you've had home field advantage, didn't matter. You've had an MVP season, didn't matter. You had a great running season where you just dominated people on the ball, coupled with great defensive seasons, didn't matter. Baltimore, the rent, I don't think rent ever fully comes due for Baltimore. I think they own the house. The mortgage is there for Coach Harbaugh. But man, you just want to see this team get over the hump. And for Lamar Jackson, and I think you can say similarly about Josh Allen, although I don't think he's quite failed as much as Lamar Jackson to get to this point. Like we're looking at a guy that's trajectory right now is Dan Marino, right? Elite quarterback, difference maker, but ultimately a guy that never wins the big one. I don't think that's for a lack of his skill set, but more so just a lack of playing the right game at the right time, and Baltimore hasn't done that. And so this is a football team that I think you're really starting to see the spotlight grow. It's grown on them the last 2 or 3 seasons. It's as bright as it's ever been. It was brighter than it was last year, and if they don't get it done, it'll be even brighter next year. Because you need to start winning football games in the postseason. And unfortunately for Lamar Jackson, you can add that to Josh Allen. You can very much add that to Joe Burrow. Like the unfortunate part for all of them is the same unfortunate part for Gary Payton, for Malone and Stockton, for Reggie Miller. They came up at the time of a peak era in Patrick Mahomes of one of the greatest of all time at his position, and in the league as a whole. And so you lose to him, and that's ultimately who this becomes. And Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, they got that monkey off their back. They don't have to worry about, well, couldn't they? Well, would they? No, they can't quite get over this hump because of Patrick Mahomes. That monkey still exists. That demon still floats behind Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. And until they can get past that, then I think we're going to see some very major concerns about who is this team, how good can this team be, and ultimately the most important question is, can they win it all? And I don't even think that it's a matter of winning it all, right? I mean, like Joe Burrow's been to a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson hasn't gotten there. Right? Justin Herbert hasn't won multiple games. And until those two start to win those big games and win in the postseason, whether that's just 1 or 2 games or if it's all the way to get a Super Bowl, that's going to be the question mark. Those are the 3 storylines for me. Is what's going to happen in Justin Herbert's case, in Caleb Williams' case, and of course the Ravens. We're back tomorrow morning here on SimWorld TV. The only place you can see the game, be the game.